Hi, everybody. I'm Frank Straightface Stanisci. Thank you. Welcome to Candid Frank Live. And of course, the Spanglish World Network on Zingo TV, channel 250. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app at the respective app stores for iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure you rate and leave a comment. Both apps are absolutely free. Zingo TV is available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and also on all smart TVs 2016 forward. Joining me now is the not emotional, ever motional Aaron William Freeland. Now, I can do something that I don't think many people can do. I'm talking and my lips aren't moving.
I think that's absolutely fantastic, Frank. I think you've got a brilliant career ahead of you in ventriloquism.
Sure. Whatever say. Yeah, no, that's cool. All right. There's a lot that we can talk about, and we've strayed away from U.S. politics. I'm not going to say for any reason other than the conversation became tiresome. So now what we have is we have something going on. We'll talk about the truckers, Aaron. I think this is the biggest story, and if we have any time left after the show, we'll do what we normally do. But this one, you mentioned what bothered me, and that is that when American politicians start sticking their nose in what's going on in Canada, I get a little miffed. Just as I would if Canadian politicians stuck their nose in US politics.
Yeah, it's something that has been growing increasingly prevalent, and I think GoFundMe looked into where the funds were coming from for the truckers as well, and they noticed that there was a bit of an issue with a lot of it coming from the States. And I think that's one of the reasons why they went to shut it down, because their platform doesn't necessarily allow, and their terms of service don't necessarily allow foreign interference in political concerns of another country, sort of a geopolitical thing. So in a way, I'm relieved that that's happened.
Yeah, at the end of the day, all right, the bottom line is this. Every country has their issues. Now, when we talk about everyday politics, I consider protesting an everyday issue when it comes to politics. It doesn't happen every day. Don't misunderstand me, but it is something that we should expect as a reaction to any kind of as a reaction. Protestation happens because people are unhappy to the point where they want people to know they're unhappy. They do a lot of honking of horns, and they do a lot of flag waving, which is great. Proud Canadians displaying their pride and being, in Canada. They do it in a way that offends some and definitely 100% inconveniences a few. Now, if you're that few and you're a tiny voice, like, for example, the city of Ottawa, in that very location where they are, life is hell for the people that live there.
And, I mean, a lot of people will say that the whole goal of a protest is to make people uncomfortable and to make them feel out of sorts. And while I can certainly understand that, 80 to 120 decibels on an air horn or train horn all hours of the day and night is not acceptable. According to the Geneva Convention, 82 decibels is considered torture. That's the volume that the CIA and the FBI have apparently used when interrogating prisoners. So, this is not at all appropriate behavior. Let's be clear here. I do support their right to protest. However, when you get to a situation like this, when they're blatantly disobeying rules and they're essentially torturing people and their pets, God, I feel so sorry for the animals there too. That's when governments need to step in.
Now, if we can sharpen the comment that you're making, is in fact, nobody here is saying people shouldn't protest. In fact, you know how I feel about it, and I know how I feel about it, and how I feel about it is I feel that everyone has a right to free speech, which they can then bring into demonstrations and have that free speech. What they don't have a right to is harass people, use people. I don't believe in verbal. I don't believe in saying things like they do about the prime minister. Um, I'm not a big fan of his. I just think personal attacks. It's a slippery slope, and from what I believe that people can make their point without being abusive, whether it be like you pointed out at the hour that they do it. The whole point of a demonstration is to get the attention, honestly, of the people you want to get the attention. And there's lots of ways to do that, right? So if you're not happy with the government, they're going about it the right way. They're going to Ottawa. They're letting them know outside the Parliament buildings they can't ignore their unhappiness. They can't ignore the issue that they're raising. But I think everybody has a right to sleep at night without having to hear that stuff. People shouldn't be you shouldn't be bothered by people, and never mind these people who say that, well, demonstrations are all about making people uncomfortable. No, they're not, because that's not a demonstration. That's you abusing your right. Everybody has a right to voice their opinion. They don't have to honk a horn at 2 o'clock in the morning to get that opinion across. You get what I'm saying, Aaron? They can do all that stuff within business hours. The media can come by if they want. Of course, the media doesn't like coming by because they don't like getting spit on. But there's all kinds of stuff that what protesting is about. It's about not about abusing people. It's about informing people. It's about raising a consensus. So this BS that you feel you need to bother people, and that's part of a demonstration. That's BS. That's the same as I don't agree with destroying private property. I don't believe in destroying public property. Oh, what the heck? I'll go for it all. I don't believe in destroying people's property. If it isn't yours, you have no right to touch it or destroy it, and you should be put in jail if you do stuff like that. You want to talk about stuff? That's fine. Okay, I had my rant.
Again, you've mentioned it before. You've pretty much summed it up pretty neatly right there. The whole idea of a protest is to bring attention. Honking your horn at 1 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 11:30 at night when Parliament isn't in session and all of the lawmakers whom you're trying to get the attention of have gone home constitutes torture. Don't. Stop it.
And yeah. And when you say that, you know what I'm afraid of, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry for saying this, but some people who do that know they're doing it and they like it. And
Some of them
that
do
is the
take
kind
pleasure
of
in that sort
person,
of thing.
and that's the kind of person that gets the reaction from people like me who hold our hand up and go, "You can't see me, sorry. I have no video. I'm holding my hand up." And they basically say, "I don't believe in what you're doing." At the end of the day, what I believe is that with every discussion, every disagreement, there are people who are looking for a solution, and I'm talking both sides. And then there are the other people who are only looking for an excuse to argue and be abusive and bad to other people because you feel not that there's somebody who doesn't think your way, but they're the enemy.
Yeah, and this entire protest, they very nicely managed to segregate themselves into an us versus them situation, basically by portraying themselves as the masses and the trodden upon. I got news for you, sweet cheeks. When you're making anywhere north of $25 an hour plus kilometerage, you're not the masses. Very much not so. I have very little tolerance for that sort of thing these days, and it's just not going to fly. The protest that you tried to hold in Manitoba, that fizzled after police started handing out tickets because apparently those truckers lack the courage of their convictions. I'm reasonably certain that had you not been provided with a baseball diamond to park your trucks on Coventry Street out there in Ottawa, we're talking about RCGT Ballpark here, right next to the Canadian Tire that's been providing you with propane and salt. Pretty sure that you'd be gone by now if that hadn't happened. And it's the individuals who make space for this sort of thing and this bad behavior that let this continue for far too long.
And you have a right I'm okay with them saying they don't want mandates. We don't want mandates. They get an opportunity to say they don't want mandates. I give them the opportunity to say that. Here's
Oh
the
yeah,
thing.
of course.
Here's the thing. Here's the problem they have with saying mandates. Nope, we're not doing it. It's nothing new. You know, if this goes up the legal, if it goes down the legal route, I can't see them winning the argument. You know, this is like, unfortunately, this is somebody who's having an argument that sounds good to their constituency, to their people, to their group. It sounds like a great argument. It sounds like something they can do. But folks, when I was a young boy, the school sent a letter to my parents and said, by the way, we don't want measles to spread in Canada. So people's lives are at risk. So we need to give your son a vaccine and your daughters. My parents said, oh, yeah, we know about that. There's some really bad stuff out there. And okay, we'll give it a shot. And they gave it a shot. And it was something that helped. You know, what's lost in all this, and somehow I don't know how it's lost in it, this is about saving lives. This is about making a little sacrifice, one that children handle better than adults. You know, that's the part that bothers me more than anything. A kid gets it, goes, ouch, that hurt. Oh, okay. And then they move on to the schoolyard and start playing again. Folks, this is about saving our society. This is about saving us. This is about saving money. This is about keeping us going. This is about stop closing, you know, stop, you know, suspending our lives. That's what this is about. But if you don't want to get vaccinated, I think what it's going to come down to, you know me, I love making predictions, right, Aaron? You know some of the
Yes, you do.
predictions I've made. And this is going to be one I guarantee. This is one of my predictions I guarantee on this show right now. There's going to come a time when the rubber that hits the road is going to be accountability, not just for the federal government, not just for citizens, but for the people who decide they don't have to get vaccinated. There is going to be not only a cost in people's lives, there's going to be a financial burden that will be getting tiring. Come a point where people, insurance companies, the government is going to say, you know what? You want to opt out of our healthcare system? Don't get vaccinated. That's what it's going to come down to. If we really want to stop this stupidity, because it's stupidity, right? We're going to have to say, you know what? We all have rights. I have the right to not pay for your health care. And if you're taking an inordinate risk, a risk that you shouldn't be taking, I have the right to say, I'm not paying for it.
And that you and I don't disagree, Frank.
I'll tell you right now, the people who aren't getting vaccinated and don't believe in mandates, they don't realize one tiny little point, one just little point I want to make here. They're the minority. And we know the history of what happens with minorities. Majorities can be pretty mean to minorities. I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm just saying I wouldn't want to be put in that position. I'm trying to get out of being considered a minority, not in. And that's the issue here. They have a choice to make. Do they want to be a part of the collective, or do they want to be a smaller group, causing enough problems for the majority that the majority just says, you know, shut up, you know, just shut up. We've had enough of you. You know, that's what it's going to take. That's what it takes in the world today, because you don't have a right to throw everybody's lives upside down. And closures and all that stuff is because we have a healthcare system that can't handle, you know, the pandemic. It can't. That's why we close. So I wish somebody would have the guts to. Quebec backed off on it, right? They backed up. They said, no, okay, we're not gonna do the mandate thing. We're not gonna do the charge them stuff. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with the healthcare system. If it comes down to that, my prediction is it's not going to come down to rights. It's not going to come down to what I want or don't want to do. It's going to come down to the most important thing that we in the world care about: dollars and cents.
That's pretty much it right there, folks.
It's what it's going to come down to, folks.
Yep.
So you can make your own decision, but I have a right not to pay for your health care that, just like a smoker, just like somebody who does risky things. And if it comes down to the point that it is risky behavior, then I have a right not to pay for that risky behavior. And the unfortunate truth is, the majority of them are going to be okay. The ones that aren't vaccinated. My heart goes out to the people who are the unfortunate minority within the minority who will pay heavily for, as we've seen from time to time, right, Aaron? We've seen people who anti-vaxxers, and then they end up dying. We've seen a couple of them on video saying, wish I had taken the vaccine. Can I do it now? That's the part that hurts, that breaks my heart, are the people who are fooled into thinking that for some reason this vaccine is dangerous. I don't understand it. But, it is what it is. Okay. As you can tell, that really gets me going because I'm tired of watching people suffer. I don't care. I'm retired. If I stay in my house and do nothing, it's normally what I do. It's not a big problem for me. But watching people suffer, it's not something I take to very well.
No, I understand. Neither of us gets any pleasure out of any individual catching this disease because they're unvaccinated.
Nope.
It's not in our nature. There may be a certain sense of satisfaction to saying we told you so, but there is no.
I don't get any. I told you so satisfaction. The reason it bothers me so much about people who aren't vaccinated is because many of them are under the misconception there's something wrong with actually being vaccinated, that there's something wrong as a group to do something to protect ourselves against something that we can protect ourselves against. And unfortunately, as usually happens with snake oil salesmen, people sell ideas that the people who, if they really knew what was going on, if they really looked at the facts and walked into a hospital, and if they really were willing to listen, they would understand that their lives rely on it. We've had this battle. It's not a new battle. You have some people with religious beliefs that they don't want any medication, right? And the government's had to deal with those people as well, and try to do something to save children who need operations or need health care. And their parents say, no, it's against our religion. So this is nothing new. No one should be surprised about this.
Nope.
So, okay. So, no, it really irritates me, obviously. So let's talk about the CFL. We got a couple of minutes. There's a bidding war for Kenny Lawler. I don't know if you've heard about this bidding war. He's a Winnipeg receiver whom two teams want. And one, of course, is Edmonton, and the other one is the BC Lions. And this guy is a game changer, one of the best receivers in the Canadian Football League. You got some other guys that are pretty important. What do you got to say, Aaron? You can take it from here.
Well, I know that Da'Keel Williams has been extended by the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I know that things are definitely heating up for Kenny Lawler, and God bless him, he deserves it. I mean, this dude has put in the time. Wherever he ends up, whichever team ends up finally getting his services, they're going to do well. They're going to do well for him. They're going to do well by him. So, I mean, when you look at the number of yards that he racked up in 2021, he had over 1,000 yards, 1,000 yards receiving and rushing. I can't really say that those teams are wrong in trying to get the money out there to try to grab him. So, kudos to him for that. Pete Robertson has also been extended by the Roughies. I don't know if have you touched on that with
Nope.
your other show, with the CFL show yet?
No, that's later.
Yeah, I don't want to.
That's later. The show's at 9.
I don't want to spoil too much, but there's also
Go ahead and
Jonathan
spoil it.
Moxley.
It's okay. We'll just repeat it.
The Stampeders also extended American defensive back Jonathan Moxley, so that's a good sign. Hamilton actually signed 2 Americans to bolster their quarterback core. Jeremiah Masoli is now a Red Black, so that broke this afternoon. So that was a rather interesting twist. But yeah, Hamilton signed Matt Schultz and Jamie Newman. Schultz was with the Alouettes last year, and Newman spent last season with the Philadelphia Eagles. So that's good to see. They're diversifying their portfolio in that regard. The Argonauts re-signed Juwan Bruscason, so that's an interesting signing for them. They're bringing him back. Not to mention, they re-signed the Argonauts also re-signed Edwards, but also at the same time made a deal with the Stampeders. So, stop me if that sounds familiar, there, Frank.
No, sounds familiar. And so, as far as the week is concerned, I'm going to say some of the biggest moves: Montreal re-signing Jake Wenicky, William Stambeck, and Chris Aki. 3 very good signings. Another highlight is Jeremiah Mazzoli getting signed by the Red Blacks, which that's one of the predictions I made almost as soon as the season ended. And I think Brandon Banks might come along with him. For those of you that think that because he's a former Hamilton Tiger Cat, right now he's a free agent, he's still technically a Hamilton Tiger Cat. For those of you that feel that he loves Hamilton and he wants to stay in Hamilton, he said so. And he also said that he'd be willing to stay for a very big pay cut. That to me is him saying, I'm giving you my best shot so that if he goes somewhere else, which I think he will, and that'll be Ottawa, you'll join Mazzoli, 2 guys that became very good at the same time in Hamilton. Maybe we'll try to reignite that magic that they had in Hamilton. And I think they can. A fresh start for Brandon Banks is probably a really good thing. And yes, they both love Hamilton, but they also both love playing football. And they both want a shot at winning a Grey Cup. And word from Sean Burke of the Ottawa Red Blacks is, we want to win now. And Aaron, they're the team out of all the CFL teams, the other 8, that have done the most to improve their team. They have done so many things and they continue to do things. And they prove my theory, which is you don't have to, it's not in the CFL, you don't have to wait a few years to build a team. 2 years is a long version of rebuilding a team. You can do it in far shorter time, far less time.
And I think that Frank seems to me to be a part of the fact that everybody is on a year-to-year contract. You don't have guys with extended 3, 4, or 5-year deals.
Even if they have those deals, they don't have to be honored.
Yeah,
even a 1-year
deal, guaranteed.
Even a 1-year deal, go into training camp, you get released, that contract's history. The only money you get to keep is the bonus money that you get up front. That's what players get. That's what they try to get for multiple reasons, as we've discussed on this program. It's taxed at a lesser amount by the Canadian government, and you get it for sure, which is not a guarantee when it's part of a salary deal, right? So that team has done the most, the Ottawa Red Blacks. Looking at a couple of other teams that I'm not going to say that I'm disappointed in them, and we'll talk about this later on our CFL show. I expect more from BC, Edmonton, and I think, BC and Edmonton, I hope to see more from them. But the bottom line here, Aaron, we're almost out of time. I get that. The most important thing I can say here, Aaron, as a CFL fan like you are, boy, oh boy, it's going to be tough to make the playoffs in the Eastern Division this year.
The race is going to be incredibly close.
Because if Ottawa does what they're doing and succeeds in what they're doing, the other 3 teams in the division are not going to be a lock to make the playoffs and only argue about who gets to first.
No, this is you could actually very well see a crossover situation and have a very, very small Eastern contingent the way everything is shaping up right now.
Well, I got to tell you, I doubt that there'll be a crossover from the east to the west. I just happen to think that you can count on Calgary, Saskatchewan, and of course Winnipeg to be very good, and good enough to be as good as at least 3 of the 4 teams in the Eastern Division. So it'll be interesting for sure. Is there a quick thing you want to mention, since I cut what we were intending to do because of that rant?
Not at all, other than to say that Canada is currently sitting at 6. The Canada-USA women's game goes tonight at 7. Make sure you catch that. Other than that, no, we're Canada sitting pretty so far with 1 gold, 1 silver, and 4 bronze.
And the boys are playing too.
Yep.
They had a little practice. It's great, Aaron. Thanks for putting
All
up
right.
with my rant.
Hey, not a problem, Frank. Thank you.
Okay. For Aaron William Freeland, I'm Candid Frank Stanisci. Thank you for watching Candid Frank Live, airing Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 6 p.m. The show can also be heard on the Spanglish World Radio Network. For Candid Frank Live, other news, entertainment, and sports programming we offer, please check out spanglishworld.ca. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Ciao for now.